This is for entertainment purposes only. This short story is only for people over the age of 18.
From a distance, Josh Hartbright isn't much to look at. He's medium height, a round head, big ears, dark eyes, and a slightly thick middle. He wears glasses and likes clothes that are comfortable. He has never, and probably will never, win any beauty contests. He does have one thing going for him. He has a field of influence no one can resist.
I hesitate to call it a superpower.
Josh said in an online interview with me.
Is it outside the norm for people? Yes. Is it a power? Yes. Is it super? I would say, no.
I disagree. Born in 1999, Josh never had much go right for him. He grew up with his parents divorcing when he was 6 years old. His father ended up remarrying and divorcing 6 more times before his death in 2023. Josh's mother worked 2 jobs just for Josh and his younger sister to live in a single-bedroom apartment. Josh was kicked out of the private school when he, as it turned out, was falsely accused of setting a fire in the boys' bathroom. Josh was convicted of auto theft when he was 16. By age 20 he was a handyman at the apartment he still lived at, and selling small amounts of cannabis on the side. At age 22, Josh applied for, and got, a job working as a night custodian for the West Mifflin area middle school just outside of Pittsburgh.
I wanted a change.
Josh told me.
I know working as a janitor for a middle school doesn't sound amazing, but I thought it was great. I could work when there were few people around. It was steady work. I tell people I work for the Titans and never clarify that. It was maybe an hour after midnight on January 20th of 2026 that it happened.
Josh said with a distant memory in his eyes.
I had just gotten off work, since I worked from 4 in the afternoon to around midnight, and had grabbed a discount sandwich and a 6-pack of Corona on my way back to my apartment. I didn't get 3 feet into my place when I had the mother of all headaches.
Josh had many ways to describe the pain in his head. Most center around the feeling of a burning knife blade being stabbed into his forehead and into his brain. This wasn't a migraine. This was something else.
I woke up on the floor of my place after the headache faded.
Josh remembered.
My door was still open. My sandwich was still wrapped, but 1 bottle of beer didn't survive falling to the ground. I was on the ground too, sweating, shaking, and trying to remember all the ways to check for a stroke. It wasn't a stroke. I don't know what it was. I can't be 100% certain, but that mind-splitting pain had to be the cause of, well, everything.
The everything didn't seem to manifest until Josh went to work the next day.
I let myself in the back with my keys around 4.
Josh said, mimicking unlocking a door.
I make sure to punch in my code to let the computer know I'm there. I then put on gloves and grab the big gray trash can to go around and get all the garbage. I always hit Mrs. Hall's office first, just so the principal of the school knows I'm there.
At the time Mr. Hartbright made no impression on me.
Mrs. Linda Hall said when I talked with her.
He was the janitor. As long as my trash was gone, and the bathrooms were clean, I didn't care. I didn't know, couldn't have known, what was to become of him.
What happened was Josh found he did have a field of influence on people.
I went into Mrs. Hall's office, and she was still behind her desk.
Josh was saying with a slight smile, mimicking pushing something.
Curly gray hair, thick glasses, and I'm sure she had a battle axe somewhere to match her personality. I liked her. She didn't give a shit about things until they didn't live up to her expectations. I guess I did, since she never gave me hell. Then, that day, the 20th of January, I pushed the trash can in and Mrs. Hall is just sitting there, with unfocused eyes, pointed at her computer monitor, but looking through it. I said a greeting, and she said nothing. I told her I was there for her trash, and nothing. This was odd since she usually at least huffed at me by this point. I asked if she was okay, and still nothing. I tapped her shoulder, well, shoulder pad, and nothing. I asked her to say something, and that's when she literally said, something.
This is when Josh went to get help from Miss Anjana Chowdhury, the vice principal of West Mifflin Middle School. Miss Chowdhury had an office just out the hall and around the corner from Mrs. Hall's.
I get there and Anjana had a sheet of paper in her hand, with a file cabinet open, looking like she was about to put something away or something, but she had the same distant look as Mrs. Hall.
Josh recounted.
I had a love/hate, mostly hate, relationship with Anjana. A small Indian woman, or something, who believed herself better than me because she was getting her master's degree while I barely finished high school. At that point I was just freaking out that she had gone all zombie-like too. I had her say something, and she did, just like Mrs. Hall. Then I hear Mrs. Hall yelling for me.
It just seemed like this big, dirty, disgusting, plastic bucket on wheels had appeared out of nowhere.
Mrs. Hall explained.
I didn't, and still don't, remember Mr. Hartbright bringing the bin into my office. I was typing an email, and then out of the corner of my eye I see this refuse bin in my office. For me, no time passed. Knowing where the trash can had come from, I stepped around it and into the hall, calling out for Mr. Hartbright.
I leave Anjana, and go out into the hall.
Josh said with a grin.
I was so relieved that Mrs. Hall was okay, or sounded like it, that I didn't think about Anjana. I get close to Mrs. Hall, and counting the floor tiles, about 30 feet, or 10 meters, away from her, the woman's face and body go slack. I stop. I step back, and then hit that sweet spot where Mrs. Hall could either be zoned out, or wide awake. Knowing something was going on, I tell the awake Mrs. Hall that I'd get my trash can out of her office in just a minute. Then I go back into Anjana's office and fuck with her. I found out a few things about my field.
Josh got very focused at this point.
There was that 30-foot range. No memory of anything that happened when close to me, unless I tell them to remember. While close to me, they would do anything I told them, specifically me. If there was a recording of someone else's voice, they wouldn't respond. They'd stay in this trance-like state, unless I told them to wake up, but even awake, they'd do anything I said, no matter what. It was so cool to be able to have them obey me, without question, blank and mindless, if I got close. If I told them to act normal, they would, until they went out of my field, and then back in, they would go into a trance again.
When I asked what Josh could control about the person, I was not prepared for the answer.
Anything.
Josh said with a shrug.
Thoughts, memories, beliefs, actions, feelings, anything that was in the person's mind was open to me. I mean, I made Anjana madly in love with me when I snapped my fingers, and she was. Keep in mind this woman hated me the day before. With a snap of my fingers, she came alive and was all doe-eyed at me. I went out of range, and she still had that look of love on her face. When I went back into range, that look went glassy and empty. I stepped out of range, and she went back to nothing but love for me.
It was a shocking admission that a person's fundamental feelings were subject to Josh's control. I went back to his statement about fucking with Anjana Chowdhury.
Nah, she wasn't my type.
Josh said with a wave.
Not at that time, at least. There was a reason why I never got married or anything. I was after one type of woman. I liked them busty, fit and muscular.
This was a trend that seemed to follow Josh. Any woman he had contact with would become obsessed with weightlifting, building muscles, dropping body fat, and having large breasts. This made finding Josh, later, much easier.
Yvette Langdon.
Josh said with a longing look in his eyes.
God, she was so hot. She probably still is. Hotter even. Yvette was into CrossFit when she was the gym teacher at the school. It gave her an amazing body. I'd see her when I got to work, but she'd be gone in an hour, and to be honest, I don't think she liked me very much.
That asshole was so creepy.
Yvette Langdon said when she sat down to be interviewed.
I'd just gotten my teaching degree the year before, and felt lucky to find a job. Then Josh would show up, trying to make small talk, which he sucked at, and he got really annoying. Then that Tuesday happened. I didn't even see him, or hear him, or anything. One moment I was getting the jump ropes out for the next day, and then a blink and I was naked on my back on the tumbling mats.
I had to confirm that she did have sex with Josh.
Sex with Josh was the best sex I have and will ever have.
Yvette said in an almost monotone voice.
Sorry, that's in my mind and won't ever leave. I mean, I've had sex before, Josh. I had a boyfriend. Note the had there. Josh did something to me. I can't think of ever having sex with anyone but Josh, and I mean it. When I see a good-looking guy, Josh's face appears on the guy's body. I pull out my shaky friend from the nightstand, and I end up screaming Josh's name. At the time we were having sex, in the supply closet, I can't deny it. It was amazing, and it left me shaking for a long time afterwards. I wanted it. God help me, I wanted it. I want it now, like right now. Even after Josh had me change my appearance, I wish he would come up to me, and do me, anytime, anyplace, any way he wants.
As Yvette recounted, after having sex with Josh she went through many changes. Yvette claimed she would never get breast implants before, but after Josh, she got progressively larger breasts until at the time of this writing she had a pair of silicone implants that were 2,000 cubic centimeters each. That is like put a 2-liter bottle of soda on either side of your chest. Yvette also couldn't bring herself to wear anything that hid her arms, shoulders, cleavage, or midriff, even in the dead of winter. She could wear whatever she wanted on her legs, but it had to be skin tight. Yvette claimed she would normally go without panties unless it was that time of the month for her. Yvette also found herself compelled to get more into weightlifting. She was counting every calorie to keep her body fat between 5 and 10%. Tanning when she could. When swimming she would be unable to wear anything other than as small of a bikini as she could get. There was one other uncomfortable truth Yvette revealed to me.
I've become sexually interested in other women.
Yvette said without looking at me.
I can't tell if this is Josh's influence or my own. When I see a beautiful woman, like yourself, I can't help but think about wild hot lesbian sex with you. I mean her. Sorry, I just haven't had sex in years now. Not since Josh used me on those tumbling mats.
I really should visit Yvette.
Josh said when I talked with him.
I'll have Olga set something up. I bet Yvette still dyes her hair platinum blonde. She probably looks like a jacked Barbie at this point.
Josh was correct in his assumptions. I then asked him what he did next with that first day of power.
After messing with Yvette,
Josh said with a shrug.
I did my job. I mean, I was getting paid to clean the place for the kids. The kids weren't involved in this, so I was back to vacuuming carpets and scrubbing down bathrooms. I figured I would resign in the morning. The routine of cleaning kept me thinking about what to do next.
What Josh did next was go to an all-night gym. Fitness 19 in the Kennywood Shop Strip Mall is a 24-hour gym. Weight training, cardio machines, and all the equipment one would need to get and stay in shape.
There were the regulars there at night.
Josh said about the gym.
Most were nurses getting off shifts. There were some truck drivers passing through. It was your typical gym catering to the second shift crowd. My gym crush there was Bika Howe. Curly brown hair, dark eyes, Roman nose, and the body of a goddess. She never looked at me once, let alone twice, but I would look at her.
Although Bika Howe declined to be interviewed, her OnlyFans page did give some insight to what she was thinking. Similar to Yvette, she got massive breast implants, and had pushed her body hard with weight training to develop large muscles. None of her pictures show her in anything but a top that showed off her cleavage, arms, shoulders, and large and defined abdominal muscles. On her page Bika states that she would be willing to get together with another woman, if she was the right type. When asking Bika about Josh, she claimed she had no idea who that was.
Bika probably doesn't know who I am.
Josh stated.
I mean, I walked into the gym, and you could see the people in my field of influence zone out. The people outside of it were mildly concerned that the person next to them was a zombie, until one of us got closer. Bika didn't look at me when I got close enough for her to stop curling, and just stand there, blank. Then I guided her to the back, and while blank, I had my way with her.
I clarified that Josh had sex with Bika Howe while she was in her diminished capacity.
You make it sound wrong.
Josh said, seeming a little hurt.
I can guarantee you Bika was shaking, and squirting, and coming like she'd never done before or will again. I was still getting used to my powers, so I forgot to have her remember it. Then I gave her some commands, I don't remember which, and we went back to the gym. Nothing like hiding hot and sweaty sex like a hot and sweaty workout. Even with Bika under my belt, so to speak, I didn't see another hot babe at the gym. I made sure everyone was under my power soon enough, and just going about their workout, like nothing odd was going on.
Something odd was, indeed, going on. Josh claims to have gone to bed alone that night. In the morning, he looked up and went to U.S. Steel, PPG the paint industry, and the Kraft Heinz company. There he signed himself up to be a paid consultant for business futures, but he would never have to set foot in the office, and only have to give advice over the phone. This would net Josh a good chunk of money in his bank account each week.
I read about this in a book.
Josh said excited.
A guy got paid nearly $250,000 for being a paid consultant for some company. He never had to do any work for them. He literally just answered his phone and gave some BS advice. I was thinking, I could do that. So, I did. I thought it would be easier to claim on taxes. I also made sure to put in my resignation from the school. I didn't even have to give 2 weeks. I quit right over the phone. I swung by the school admin building and dropped off my keys, and I was out.
With no job and plenty of money, what did Josh do? It wasn't surprising.
I had so much sex.
Josh said with a wide smile.
How I didn't get an STD, I'll never know. It was winter, but there's always something to do in Pittsburgh. Indoor pools, especially ones connected to gyms, were one of my regular hotspots. I think I went to over half the gyms in the entire city just looking for women that had exciting bodies. I'd walk in, zonk out the people there, take who I wanted, and back to a hotel or her place to get it on. I did that for a few weeks, but then a bad snowstorm was about to hit, and I got the fuck out of there. I drove straight down to Florida. As soon as I got out of my car down there, I liked the smell, the warmth, and the women. It took me 2 months to feel like I needed more.
The more is what Josh is now known for. With a phone in hand, he would walk around places, showing his field of influence on people, and recording him commanding people to do ridiculous things. These recordings were uploaded to YouTube, and started getting interest after a few weeks.
The sexual videos were the most popular.
Josh said with a wide smile.
Having a woman cut off her shirt and bra, but leave her jacket on, was the first video I had that broke 1,000 views. My first million-viewed video was making 2 women kiss passionately. The comments on that video were wild. I got a strike and a video taken down when I had a woman orgasm on a park bench. That was fair. I had a group of people believe this one old guy was the funniest man alive, and he was telling the dirtiest, filthiest jokes that I had to figure out how to edit sound because they were that bad. The crowd were crying laughing. I had a sexy woman at a gym showing how to properly lift weights while every third word she said was the name of a U.S. state. That one was funny because she really believed that Houston was a state, and she said it like 3 times. My first sponsorship was for an editing software.
Josh said and couldn't stop grinning.
I gave my honest opinion of their phone-based app that could take and edit phone recordings on a compressed level, and then editing things on the phone. Marks against for small buttons and grouping of options that didn't make sense, or the order of their options. They were pleased with my review, and sponsorship, and paid me. I didn't realize it, but my videos were also making me money. When I finally looked at how much, well, I got myself a nice car. My first interview was at a gym.
Josh said, turning serious.
If you've been following along, this isn't a surprise. Sophia Rapp, this professional fitness model, came in while I was there, and quickly fell under my control. I wanted to know Sophia's secrets to getting her amazing body, and had the idea that my fanbase would want to know too. That was the first time I had a person give totally true and clear answers. I had no idea how much work went into women looking beautiful. Just to let you, and everyone else know, we men appreciate it. So, yeah, Sophia's interview was when I hit 100,000 subscribers. People wanted more honest interviews. So, I made that new channel, Honest Interviews.
Honest Interviews took off like a rocket. People loved seeing other people be unable to hide the truth, the often dirty truth. Josh would make it so the interviewee would have to answer any question posed to them. The live streams became very popular as people couldn't help but answer questions that Josh would read from the viewers. These interviews led to corruption charges for politicians and businessmen and women. The interviews led to sympathetic interest in people who really had been wronged by the system. If there were actual illegal activities, Josh would turn the raw recordings over to the police.
Cops called me one day.
Josh said, turning serious.
I saved 3 women, but I was too late to help 2 others. Some asshole with an inferiority complex felt the women were easy prey. The cops couldn't get close without him shooting someone. I literally just had to get close. I did, but to get the guy to drop the weapon and come out, I had to step over 2 bodies to do it. I never wanted to do that again.
After that, the police, FBI, CIA, and just about every other government agency wanted to use Josh's powers. There were so many uses for someone that could turn people into obedient soldiers, spies, or just loyal to the government. Josh, in turn, used them to get to bigger and bigger political people to interview.
I didn't want to become political.
Josh said with a sigh.
I tried to play both sides. It turns out both sides are so corrupt that burning the whole thing down seemed like a good idea. Instead, I took off. I just didn't care about those lawmakers. I cared about my fanbase. I wanted to entertain.
The fanbase loved the exposure of corruption, however. People wanted to see lies exposed. People wanted to believe justice would prevail. People hoped those guilty parties would see jail time. What happened was Josh being brought before Congress, remotely.
One of those fucking liars called me to Washington.
Josh almost spat.
I have a power they wanted to control. Pompous assholes. I was glad I was broadcasting live since their cameras mysteriously stopped working. I was the one that exposed them for the grifters they are. I was called to Washington and was remote, but I was also literally just down the hall from where the hearing was. When that one senator complained that I was remote, I just got up, walked down the hall, and had her in my zone. Then I made her tell the world all about the theft, kickbacks, and corruption she'd been involved in. I then left her with a command that she would have to confess all of her crimes when asked about them. Those government dipshits hate me, but the people loved it. I had 2 million subscribers from that little stunt.
Honest interviews exploded to top of the podcasting and internet viewing charts. Women were begging to be Josh's hypnotized sex slaves. Men all over the world wanted to use Josh and his powers. Sponsors and deals of all kinds were pouring in.
I needed an assistant.
Josh admitted.
I couldn't do everything myself, so I hired Olga. I liked her look, and she more or less threw herself at me.
Don't judge me.
Olga Albrechtsen said when I interviewed her.
Yes, I'm Swedish, with the blonde hair and blue eyes, but I was born, barely, and raised in America. The land of the free, and I wanted that stripped from me to serve. There's something so hot about being unable to resist commands from someone. I trust, master with my mind and life. Before you ask, I chose to call Josh, master. I feel that compelled to obey him. That's also why I have these huge breasts and muscles. I chose to be his slave.
When asked about Josh in private, Olga had not much to tell.
Master is the same as he is on camera.
Olga stated.
More free with the clothing and sexual desires, but still the same. He's always questioning things, looking for something that might mean more. If you want to know about the bedroom, I will say this. Master is always focused on his partner, or partners. I think he gets more pleasure from giving pleasure than being gifted.
I did ask Olga about Josh's sexual desires. She became vague.
I asked Master to make me how he wanted.
Olga said serious.
I came to him, not the other way around. If Master wanted me bisexual, I became bisexual. If he wanted me to be a mannequin, that was that. If he wanted me in bed with him and a dozen other women, then I would have gladly joined in. If you're asking does Josh go extreme, the answer is no. He doesn't do anything that hurts someone. Okay, maybe I've pulled a muscle when he gave me more pleasure than my body could handle, but Master did apologize for doing so. He more or less babied me afterwards until I told him to stop, and I'd rather have a pulled muscle than not. If you're looking to sum up Master in one sentence, Josh cares more for others than he does himself, and he just needed to get to the point where he could make that happen.
When I asked Josh where and what he was doing now, it came as a surprise.
I'm trying to learn Mandarin, Chinese.
Josh said, shaking his head.
It isn't going well. I want to go to different countries and talk to the people there. I want to bring honest interviews to the world. I want the truth displayed to everyone. That's my goal. That's what I'm doing. I am bringing the truth to my fanbase.
I asked Josh what the truth was.
I have no idea.
Josh answered.
And I find that exciting. I mean, I have this power that can make the truth, to a person, whatever I want it to be. I'm not doing this for me. I mean, I might pick up a hot babe with fantastic muscle tone and huge knockers from time to time, but that will never be on camera. I've seen the comments from people that if they had my powers, they would never stop having sex. Yeah, you would. Then you'd realize you have to live for something. Some people it is their children, admirable. Other people get up to go run their business for others. I get up, and look forward to the day, knowing I am showing the truth to those that are watching me. I want them to watch, not for me, but for what I can bring them. I keep talking about my field of influence of where people become hypnotized zombie slaves, but really my field of influence are all the people watching to see what I discover, and realize what they can do about it. My field of influence is anyone willing to use the truth I bring to make the world better.
Josh Hartbright is currently on his way to China.
The end. This was a work of fiction. Any similarity between people, living or dead, is purely coincidence. This scenario did not, or should not, have happened in real life. Thank you for listening.